Welcome back to ESBR Boxing's YouTube channel. It's me, Niall. Delighted as always to be joined by Thomas, and we're here in further reaction mode following what we've seen last night from Las Vegas, Nevada. An absolutely legacy-defining win for Terence Crawford. Generational talent, maintained his unbeaten record, and beat Canelo Alvarez to win the undisputed and Ring Magazine super middleweight titles. Thomas, it still doesn't feel it still feels surreal to even say that, as the kind of size of the achievement that it is. So when the words come out of my mouth, it's still bizarre for me. But yeah, an incredible performance for Terence Crawford. Of course, you reacted to it on the channel with Elliot last night. So if you just want to see that instant reaction and Thomas's thoughts on the fight, you can check that out on the channel. But we're here today. We're going to talk about you know, I suppose the future, however long the future left, however long of a future that's left for Terence Crawford, we're going to talk about is he unbeatable? Can anybody conquer the code? He's done it over multiple weight divisions now, and nobody's been able to figure out this code. Thomas, I'll leave the floor to you. Is Terence Crawford unbeatable or as close to unbeatable as you've seen in boxing?
Yeah, I would have to say if he's not unbeatable, he's pretty close. I mean, it just seems like there's been a few times now where I've picked against him or at least thought that he would have it in tough, and just every single time he just completely defies that. So, I mean, it would be hard for me to pick against him in any big fight. I do think that I don't know. I'm not sure exactly how he gets on against the other super middleweights in the division. I just think that, with Canelo, even though he's been a real super middleweight for quite some time now, he's not like super middleweight like some of his contemporaries. He's not like 6'1", 6'2", and he Canelo's been used to fight at a lighter weight class himself at 154 and 147 back in the day. So I think that was kind of like just the right kind of size matchup for him. And anyway, I question whether or not um, he's unbeatable at 168. Um, I think maybe depending on the size matchup, depending on who he gets matched up there, if he does fight there, it could go wrong for him. But we always, or I picked against him many times and have been wrong. So we'll see.
Yeah, he's just a phenom, isn't he? Really, he's a genius. Like you watch him in that fight last night, and we were kind of touching off camera there. Just I said to you, Canelo is on the slide, undoubtedly, but it's still a phenomenal achievement. Like he's jumped basically three weight divisions there. I know he had the Madrimov fight, but that's one fight at 154 last year. So he's gone up to 168, and as you say. Maybe a favourable matchup, but Canelo is still an elite fighter, still a world-class fighter, natural super middleweight, and Crawford put on a masterclass at times. And as well, like, what surprised me, well, not surprised me, I suppose, but how easily he kind of dealt with the power of Canelo, whether it be the head or body, it didn't phase him. You know, you're taking shots off, as I say, a fully fledged super middleweight who's been up at light heavyweight before. So yeah, to take the shots Canelo did land on him is just outstanding. And yeah, I think he is as close to unbeatable as you'll see. He's that rare breed. There's the likes of Crawford, Usyk, anyway. You think even anyway has shown chinks in the armor over his last couple of fights, but Crawford and Usyk, you think it's just they were born to do this. They were born to box. It just seems that they were put on this earth for that reason to box and be world class. So yeah, I just don't think he's. I can't see. You make a good point, which kind of brings me on to my next point. there's a lot of fascinating options now for Terence Crawford. A lot of rumors about what he's going to do next. He's nearly 40 now, which makes it even more impressive what he done last night. He's been a pro for I think 2008. He turned over multiple weight divisions, multiple options across those weight divisions. People might even say he might retire next. If you had a magic wand to put out one or two names that you'd like to see him fight at any weight division, who would you like to see him fight? Give me a few names.
Well, they're both at 154, so I don't think we'll actually be seeing them because I don't think Terence Crawford has any plans to go back there. But if for some reason he changed his mind, I would really like, I've always wanted to see, for the past couple of years, I've wanted to see him and Virgil Ortiz fight. I think that would be a tremendous matchup. And I would also like to see him fight perhaps a Fundora, see how he gets on against him. Um, and yeah, to be honest, I don't. He says he doesn't want to go back down to 154, but um, I don't know if I really like him at 168. I know he has all the belts and everything, but I feel like that should just be a one and done for him. And honestly, if you ask me, I think he should just hang it up. I think it's a good place to stop. The legends kind of always stick around too long and wind up getting embarrassed towards the end of their career. And I feel like last night was just the perfect place to just call it, end on top. But if he does fight, I would like to see him fight some of the lighter fighters like a Fundora or a Virgil Ortiz.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head again. I think I'll start with your last point there in terms of I agree. I think he should retire. I think, as you say, it's such a rare occasion where you get people retiring on top and on such a high that Terence Crawford had last night. The only one you can really think of that's coming to mind because he was on commentary last night, you have Andre Ward, that type of scenario where you retire on top, legacy as very arguably the best fighter of this generation after that win last night. There's a good argument to be made that he's the best of this era. Just a phenomenal achievement, as you say, on 154. Maybe that's the only thing that's a kind of a shame about him going up and possibly retiring, is that he's leaving such a stacked division at 154. So many fascinating fights. As you say, the Virgil Ortiz fight is fascinating. Fundora, names like that. The one for me, the dream fight for me, if I could pick, would be Jerron Ennis. I would love to see Jerron Ennis now up at 154 against Bud Crawford. I think that could be a real passing of the torch fight. So who knows? I don't think he will go back to 154. What the weight cut back down there would be like would be interesting. I think he could do it. It's not like Roy Jones. Roy Jones is an example that we've seen go up to heavyweight and kill himself trying to get back down to light heavyweight. I don't think it'd be the same for Bud Crawford, but if that was to happen, yeah, I just think it'd be fascinating. Let me ask you a question, kind of before we wrap up. You've said that it kind of 168 permanently might be a bridge too far, and 154 he won't be going back down. Let's say if he goes back to 160 and he fights JANIBEK, the kind of consensus best middleweight in the world. How would you see that going? JANIBEK versus Crawford at 160.
Oh boy. Man, like I said, it's hard to pick against Crawford just because he's just otherworldly, but I don't like that fight for him. Think that Janet Beck is first of all, there isn't really like a huge reward. I mean, yeah, he gets a couple titles at 160, and that's still impressive, but as far as like it's not really a marquee fight like the Canelo fight was. Like that had a huge reward at the end of it. Whereas this one, it's like if he wins, it's kind of like I mean, the hardcore boxing fans, of course, would be impressed by that. But for the most part, it would just be like, okay, well, he won that fight, and if he loses, then he takes the first loss of his career. So it's an interesting style matchup, but I just don't like it for Crawford.
Yeah, that's interesting. In terms of my prediction, I think Crawford would win it, and I love JANIBEK. I think JANIBEK is an amazing fighter, but I just, as you said earlier in the video, I can't write Crawford off again, really, against anyone. I think Crawford could definitely win it. I think it'll probably, I don't want to say a tougher fight, but it could even be a more dangerous fight than the Canelo fight in terms of that power. I think JANIBEK is a bigger kind of, is that fair to say, like a bigger kind of puncher than Canelo, in terms of his sharpness of his shots. I think he'd win that. And again, if he won that fight, it'll be another incredible notch on for his legacy. But as you say, I think you're totally right in what you said there. And it's another good kind of reason that I think he should step away. You're not going to get bigger now than that Canelo fight in terms of marquee, in terms of kind of wider audience recognition. So I think the Canelo fight is the biggest one he could have got, and that's why it is a perfect spot to kind of step away. But yeah, I think he could beat Janibek. To be honest with you, just one more name very quickly before we kind of wrap up, and it might be kind of, it might take you off guard, but I'm gonna say it, whether it be at 168 or 175, Dimitri Bivol, the light heavyweight king. Or is that just one bridge that's definitely too far, even for somebody like Terence Crawford?
Yeah, I like I said, man, I hate picking against Crawford, but yeah, that's like an even worse fight for him stylistically, and I think because of the size. Um, I just and again, if he beats Bivol, I mean that would be really impressive. First of all, actually, yeah, I mean that would be unprecedented because then you would be the undisputed, or not quite undisputed because Benavidez has the WBC belt. But I mean, either way, that would be an incredible accomplishment. But it's not like it's not, it wouldn't be on a big stage like the Canelo fight would. So again, it's like another risk versus reward type deal. Um, but yeah, I don't really like that fight for Crawford. I don't really like him against any of the bigger guys at 168 or 175. I think if he's going to continue to fight, he should drop down.
Yeah, again, it's hard to disagree. You know, I said that I don't like writing Terence Crawford off, but that would be a bridge too far, and there's no shame in that, even for the great Terence Crawford. The only chance you maybe could say is if Bivol comes down to 168, which I'd say he could. You know, he's not a big light heavyweight, but if Terence Crawford beat Dimitri Bivol, as you say, not for the wider kind of more casual audience, but I think for the boxing hardcores, if he was to beat Dimitri Bivol, he'd be the best fighter of all time for me. I think there'd be a great argument to say he'd be the best fighter of all time. But he's already cemented his legacy as probably the best fighter of this era, or at least one of them. You know, with that win last night. But yeah, the future, who knows what the future holds for Terence Crawford. That was myself and Thomas just discussing the kind of the fallout from last night's victory, and is he unbeatable? You know, is he as close to unbeatable as you'll get? Let us know what you think in the comments. What did you make of the Canelo win? And what do you think is next? Will he retire or will he battle any of the names that we mentioned in this video? And let us know how you think he gets on against those names. So yeah, drop a comment, drop a like on the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel if you're not doing so already at ESBR Boxing, and follow us on all social media. Thomas, it was a pleasure. Take care.
Likewise, thank you.